Tim Julian, who was at the Common Council meeting. You went with the former Mayor Dave Ruffero last night. And
Correct.
you guys went in together.
Correct.
You both spoke.
We did.
What did you say? What did you say to the Common Council?
Well, it was tough not to get caught up in a little bit of the emotion that was in that room, because there were some people there who were making some pretty salient points about what was going to go on. And the overarching feeling when you walked in was, this is a moot point. This is going to be a done deal. If they want to do it, they got the votes for it, and they're going to make it happen no matter what. No matter what anyone's going to say, they're going to make this happen.
You told me that last night. I said, I don't think so. I think based on Bocero's commentary yesterday, he gave a really strong plea. Yep. Anybody with any bit of worry about your reputation would go into that Common Council meeting last night and say, this wasn't going to make us look good if we do it this way. We're going to go this way. But I was absolutely wrong.
There's some highly offensive parts about this. Not that the whole thing isn't offensive, but some parts really kind of peak to offend you. Number one, the whole notion that this was some grassroots effort, and the aw shucks attitude coming out of the mayor's office of the essentially, I didn't ask anyone for this. I didn't want the salary increase that they were going to give me that almost doubled the mayor's salary. Yeah.
It's not grassroots anymore. We go with organic. That's the new word.
I didn't want, I didn't ask for it, but I'm only grateful they had this faith and confidence in me. Oh, the people that work for you? Well, if they don't have faith and confidence in you, I've got to tell you something. You got problems.
Well, and the people that were carrying the petitions were people that work in City Hall. They work with the mayor.
Hall. And there's been a lot of things. I mean, and this whole conversation going about a million different directions. If you look at the 6th District council race, and Samantha Colosimo and Mr. Pelly running against each other, John Aurelio being the attorney for the Mr. Pelly. I mean, he's a city attorney. Right. And they say, well, he's got to practice on his own. You Google John Aurelio. You find where his other practice is. Because the only address that comes back is 1 Kennedy Plaza, which is City Hall. And the only number that comes back is the number of the law department. Period. So, I mean, there's wheeling and dealing going on to create a real,
well, it gives the mayor a position. I mean, if you can get this done at 5-4 and you can get this one done at 5-4, that's telling you the mayor is in control of that Common Council.
Oh, sure he is.
Yeah,
sure he is. And certainly, you hire the right people, and you be able to work the right deals as far as holding things over people's heads, and you're going to hold that control.
Do you think that stuff is going on? There were accusations Manasseh talked about. Some of the accusations last night, backdoor deals, and
people were promised jobs or family members, and then political endorsements. And actually, it was Dave Ruffero who kind of alluded to these things. I thought you were very respectful. You delivered your message. You made your points. You have kind of got into this morning, specifically naming names, and I guess if you're going to go down this road, I appreciate the fact that you're being specific rather than these vague, throw things against the wall.
Can you be specific on backdoor deals?
One of the deals I heard is that Mr. Jackon, who's running for 3rd Ward Common Council right now, and in all due, just for full disclosure, my brother-in-law is the guy running against him who held the seat before, Bob DeSantis running against him. So just so you know that, and I really kind of tried to stay, away from that. But Mr. Jackon, if you look at the
Jackon, isn't it?
Jackon.
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds a little. Jackon sounds a little less offensive.
This is kind of like when George Bush used to say, "Saddam."
That's right. I see what you're doing there, Mayor. I'm watching.
Saddam. No. Okay. Well, when if you watched his news on the TV last night, and they asked him, was this did the mayor tell you to do this? There was an awfully long pause before he answered that question. He went and really thought about it, and so that's certainly a concern. But in order to run for the next seat, you kind of got to get through this one first. Yeah. And when he stands and says, "I'm representing the people of my constituency in the 3rd Ward." Me, by the way.
Yeah. Are you really?
I am one of them.
Yeah.
And I am saying that we think this is a good idea. 12 years isn't that much more than 8. Tell that to the guy who's serving 12 years in prison.
Right. That is a good point.
And let's face facts. If we look at the record, the last time we had a 12-year sitting mayor, the city didn't fare too well. Didn't fare too well.
One would say that it's the way this whole thing was handled. Number one, first of all, if if you had to do all over again, and you're the mayor, I would think that you'd be like, this whole charade about how they came to me, they said they love me, they want me to stay. I would respect the mayor more if he would just come out and say, listen,
I wanted 4 more years.
I want 4 more years. I need
Let's see if the people are willing to give it to me.
That's exactly
and
right.
let the people be willing to give it to you if that's the case.
Well, that ultimately, I would like to see that in part 2, but part 1 would just be fessing up that this is something I want to do.
But you know, I think the most offensive of everything last night was, and from what I saw, the people there, and what I heard from the people there, was the concern was they weren't. I mean, this was voted in the late '90s, I believe, for the term limits to come into place.
80%.
80% of a much larger electorate, too.
Yeah,
Let's face it, Ed Hanna turned people out.
Yeah.
He got people out to vote. He got them excited. He energized his base, and he got people out to vote. 80% of a much larger electorate voted to put this in place. And as one person quite clearly pointed out last night, 80% of the people voted for this. You think you're going to get signatures to change it?
Right.
You know, so that was the first lesson they learned. Well, we didn't get enough signatures. So we can't put it on the ballot for the people to vote for it.
Yeah, strike out 1. Then there's more signatures, strike out 2.
You're correct. And we're going to try it again. We're going to go take another bite at the apple. Still didn't get enough signatures. And then you turn around and essentially say, well, I got control of the council. Let's just do it this way.
Yeah.
And basically take away the voice of 80% of the electorate of the people of the city of Utica.
I think it's a mistake. I think
it's a huge mistake. It's a tactical error, and it's a big mistake. But, you know, one of the things I did forget to say to the council, I had written down, but there were so many speakers last night, they did cut the time down a little bit, is that they're carrying the water for a guy who just signed the city into $27 million worth of debt on a hospital garage without consulting them.
Right.
Who are they protecting?
Well, and I got to tell you, it's interesting because Manaske said you feel that last night delegitimized their work on that garage, and it hurts the credibility.
What I mean by that is this,
or any future projects.
Right.
You have. Where are you on the downtown hospital? Are you for it?
Well, here's what. Let me just say this. I don't believe that a regional asset should be paid for and borne strictly by the citizens of the city of Utica. Okay? I don't think we should have any part of having
taxpayers are involved in it.
The county taxpayers are involved in it too. But let me ask you, if this went to the St. Luke's campus, would they say, hey, we need some infrastructure improvements up here in New Hartford, you got to pay for them? No. And the questions are, where's the county money? Where's the $350 million in sales tax over and above the regular sales tax they've taken in over the last 10 years since the sales tax occurred? Where's the tobacco money?
We found a new field of weeds to get into.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for that.
I apologize. My point in what I was trying to say is, for instance, like Jim Zecca and that group is against the hospital project. Yes. Okay, you have some people who are for the hospital project but disagree with this. So when the conversation of corruption and what's going on in Utica and all these things comes together, people will point to this, and then like Jim Zecca will say, this is the same group that pushed the hospital through, which shows that must be a corrupt project as well.
You're guilty by association.
That's what I meant by
guilt by association. All right.
Guilty by association.
Yeah. Speaking of that, speaking of guilt by association.
Where do you want to go today? We're like Microsoft.
I do want to. How is it? Alt click. How do you get in?
Control Alt Delete.
Control Alt Delete. I do want to ask you though. Last night at the council meeting, there you are. You've got Jim Zecca handing out clothespins. Yeah. This just delegitimizes the fight against this. It makes it look goofy, doesn't it?
Yeah. No. It's look and what I don't enjoy is when you hear catcalls from the crowd.
I agree.
To people and you hear, oh, you're this or you're that, or
cheers and booze
and look. I mean, you're there for a reason. Whether you agree with the members and what they're standing for around that council table or not, I mean, there is, you're still in a place where you're supposed to be respectful. Yeah. No matter what, you're supposed to be respectful.
It would be nice if that was again. And by the way, and just for the record, in their benefit, those 5 that voted for it, it really wasn't done in the in a dark room. It was done out in public. Now it was forced.
What was interesting, though,
they had to vote yes in front of everybody.
Sure, and as well they should have. Yeah. And what was interesting is they didn't talk about it in the caucus room. That was the one thing that came out to me when I was sitting in the room, because I got to the meeting right before the council meeting itself started. I could not bear to go in and listen to the caucus. I was like, nah, I'm a glutton for punishment, just not that big of a glutton. So, they came out, and Eddie Bochero came over and said, just so you know, he goes, this wasn't even discussed. He goes, what think's going to happen? They're going to wait till after the election. And some of my questions last night to the crowd and to those council members were, if you believed in this so much, why didn't you vote for this before the primary?
Right.
Why didn't you vote for this before the primary so that your primary voters would know where you stood in this?
Right.
If you believed in this so much, why are you going to wait till after the election? So I have to give Joe Marino some credit for bringing this out so people know exactly where everyone stood before the election. Because after the election, it's going to say, well, who cares?
Right. Bochero and Marino, I thought they were
Bochero
both
and Marino, I think Bochero and Marino were both very
vocal here.
Very, very vocal on it, and made some clear-cut points, and really kind of called it as they saw it.
And for the record, Marino told me, he said, you believe it or not, Jim Zecca's the one that really discovered this was actually going on and brought it to light. So minus the clothespins, it would have been a little better, but what are you going to do?
Well, exactly.
It is what it is.
You're going to deal with those parts of it. But
I'm curious to see how these some of these people that might have had a cakewalk in November, now some of these council members might have a challenge. At least they have given their opponents something to
give them a platform.
Yep, given them a platform.
What's interesting about it too, though, is that seeing the attorneys who worked in this, Charlie Brown, who's been a city hall employee since probably 1972 and actually retired, and now is back on a per diem basis, is the one who structured this. But they structured it after what Bloomberg did in New York City by getting his extra term in there. And the thing that we know, and that I know, and is that Utica is considered a second-class city by law. Where New York City is not deemed a second-class city, obviously, a very large city. So the laws in New York City do not apply in upstate in the same way the upstate laws don't apply in New York City. As such, there's some questions still on the legality of whether or not they could do this.
Therefore, is someone going to step up and challenge this in court?
There might be a good possibility.
Yeah,
it may be a good possibility.
Because there's a lot of time. You have all next year, and that, by the way, would be a great. If you're running for mayor, that'd be a great thing to run on. I think
that would be certainly a platform to run on.
No doubt,
to do something like this, or at least the first thing you would try to do is try to revert it back.
This is like at the end of the movie and the Godzilla movie, and you're like, oh my God, this is the last one. It's all over. Somebody pipes in and reminds you that Godzilla's still alive. That's right.
They're correct.
All right, Tim, Julian, it's always a pleasure.
All right, guys.
It's never a dull moment either. We appreciate that.
No, thanks.
All right.